Hi, Scott. ROCKFILE back with another podcast review. You're going to get 2 for 1. We're going to talk about 4K editions of the original 1977 Suspiria and the 2018 edition of Suspiria. So about a week ago, I watched the original Suspiria for the first time since I was in high school or college. I can't remember the last time. Jessica Harper stars. It's a classic Italian horror movie by Dario Argento. It's always been a favorite, but I wouldn't say it's my all-time favorite. I've watched a few other Italian horror movies lately that I personally like better. But I did like a lot about the original Suspiria, especially watching it now. There's a new 4K edition that's quite worthy of picking up. It's starting to go out of print, so don't let it. This is a really good flick about an American dancer who goes to a foreign conservatory to dance, and it turns out they're a coven of witches. It's not a spoiler. That's what the movie is about. How it's handled is very artistically in the original film. A lot of colors, a lot of interesting cinematography, even though it wasn't a big budget film. And like a lot of Italian horror movies, it's all dubbed. Almost all of the dialogue in the movie is dubbed. That's how they made movies back then. And that sometimes is a disconnect for me, but I've been watching a lot of those lately, so I was kind of used to it, and really it wasn't too bad. The movie itself, I would consider a classic, and that's not what I'm here really to review, but if you've never seen Suspiria, I would watch the original 1977. Highly recommended if you like Italian horror films. Lots of really bright colors, especially in the 4K edition. That's what the Dario Argento is a director who directs visually more than narratively. His visuals are always quite colorful, quite contrasty with other parts of the film. Like each part will have a specific color theme or whatever. He's trying to get things across that way. And it does work at a psychological level. And I've been watching a lot more of his movies and really enjoyed that about him. But what I really wanted to talk about was the 2018. It's not really a remake. It's not really a reboot. It's an homage, shall we say. Luca, I'm not even going to slaughter his last name, but he's directed quite a few movies and quite a few well-received movies. Directed the 2018 version of Suspiria. Dario Argento was an executive producer on the movie, had something to do with it. You can tell both movies came from the same script. They're generally the same story, but they couldn't be more different. The original Suspiria is under 2 hours long, moves very quickly. It's very much an Italian horror film with everything that goes along with all the tropes that go along with that. Where this new version is 2.5 hours long. You have great actors and actresses like Tilda Swinton, who plays 3 different roles in the film, one of them being male. We'll talk about that in a minute. And in this version of the story, Dakota Johnson plays the young dancer from Ohio who is really told early on that she's kind of out of her depth here. The only reason that she was even brought in was because the head dancer, who's not going to be there when she auditions, was kind of interested in her, thought it was something different. And it turns out from the get-go, there's something going on with her. She's different than some of the other dancers, and everybody's kind of impressed with her. The dances, which make up a lot of the movie, are almost erotic in nature, very sensual. There's a lot of breathing and grunts, and, that works up to part. I won't get into spoilers. Like I said, this version is 2.5 hours long, spends more time in the beginning setting things up, spends more time getting into the details of different characters, especially the stars. They've added some storylines here. And one of the things they added was what was going on in the news behind the scenes. The movie takes place in 1977, like the original, but they have inserted some actual events going on in the background, like on the TV and such. And I don't know that it added anything to the story. There are so many layers in this, and I've only watched it once now. I'm going to have to watch it multiple times, and there is a plethora of extras. We'll talk about the edition I watched in just a second. This is available on Amazon. It's been available on Amazon for the last 7 years, so you could have watched it any time. Rotten Tomatoes, critics tend to like it. Public tends to not, and I get it. I totally get it. It is a slow burn. It takes forever to get there, but the last 30 minutes are chock full of all the gore and nudity you're looking for in this kind of film. It really goes into full horror mode in the last half hour. It also has a different ending than the original film. But overall, the gist of the film and some of the things they're going for are similar, but the new version does go much deeper. The director has called it his most personal film, and he's directed some pretty out there films lately, including the most recent award-winning film, Queer. He's a very interesting and very good director. I started at the beginning of the movie thinking this guy's really pretentious. Some of this stuff, some of these scenes are just, come on, dude, you're putting such weight on what's basically a witch story. But he did go deeper. And again, this is a movie that I will have to revisit, and that's one of the things I liked about it. One of the things I didn't like about it is just we did spend too much time on things that didn't seem relevant. There are some hallucinatory scenes where people see things. Some of those things came true, which is, I like that, and kind of that dream sequence kind of thing that goes on. Some things you couldn't tell how that related to what we were doing in the movie. Like it would be just a whole bunch of scenes thrown at you, and about half of them you go, oh yeah, oh wow, okay, that gives me more depth. Then others would be like, what was that? And why was that in there? But again, I like a movie. I like an album. I like things that I have to go back to and get deeper into. And I think this movie almost requires that. I think the acting is all superb, especially Tilda Swinton. I don't want to say anything bad about her as an actress or anyone who would go, she's one of the best actresses on the planet. Let's let her play 3 roles in a film. I don't know why people do that. I mean, I know why like Eddie Murphy did it with some of his movies because, well, it's an ego thing. Can I do it? Can I play 5 different characters in a movie? I get that. But you're trying to make something serious, elevated, that kind of thing, and you have the same person playing 3 different roles. 2 of the roles, you could almost assume that they were similar or same, but one role, she plays a male. It's very well done, but it's also distracting. Like, we have Academy Award winning level of visual effects going on here with practical effects, but there was still something off about the character, and it didn't take me very long to figure out, oh, that's her playing a dude. Much different than, say, what she did in Constantine. She's actually an old dude. Again, not saying anything about her craft. She pulls it off. She does great. But if you can tell, doesn't that kind of distract you from the storyline? And it kind of did, although her performance is amazing to watch, especially where it goes in the end. So this does follow the gist of the original movie, but it goes in some different directions. Some of them, I think, are worthy of exploration. A couple of them I have to question, but I'll go back and watch it. And then the last 30 minutes gave me everything I wanted to see. Because the idea of taking this movie and reimagining it, not doing a direct remake, and going further with what that movie did is exactly what he does with the last 30 minutes. It goes fully into the horror genre, and I'll just leave it at that. There is a lot of gore, there is a lot of nudity, and then it ends with an ending that is different than what happened. There is also a mid-credit scene right at the very end, not a mid-credit, it's actually an end-credit scene that, again, you have to think about. Also, one thing to mention is the art design of everything. Like the opening credits and the end credits, they spent a lot of time on the art of this film, not just the costumes, but the locations, the cinematography. There's been a lot of thought. He worked on this movie for about 11 years before he actually got to film it. He got the rights from some of the original Italian producers back in 2007. There was another version that was going to get made by another director, and that kind of fell apart. And he made a deal with Amazon and got this made for about $20 million. It's not it's fairly modest budget, but they gave it a real quick theatrical release. It made about $7 million. It's languished on their streaming service for a while. And like I said, it's divisive. A lot of people don't like it. He said in a recent interview that he envisioned doing more stories in that kind of, with those characters, or maybe continuing the story, but the movie did so badly, he's not going to. So I picked up the imprint edition. This is an import edition that comes with the 4K, the Blu-ray, and some other stuff. It was quite pricey, but I did a lot of research before I picked it up. I wouldn't normally spend this amount of money on an import special edition of a movie, but you can't get the movie over here. And yeah, I could stream it on Amazon with some commercials or whatever, but I don't want to do that. If I'm going to watch a movie, I want as close to the theatrical experience as I can have, with the lights down and the dogs or whoever sitting next to me and a bowl of popcorn and nonstop, 2.5 hours, watch it uninterrupted, put the phone down, turn the lights down and all that. I really want to focus on the film, and I did. There were parts of it that was a little hard. It was just, come on, can we get this moving? But like I said, the last 30 minutes, truly, I was like, okay, well, now I need to rewatch it because I really like the end. And he does some different things with the witchcraft of it, doing different things with some of the characters. All in all, I think it's a decent remake, or it's not really a remake, an homage, a different kind of Suspiria. With Dario Argento involved in it, I don't think, he would have probably vetoed anything he truly hated. I thought the movie was definitely worth watching. It's not everybody's cup of tea. If you like more of the A24 elevated horror, this is probably going to be right up your alley. If you would prefer just something more slasher and in your face, this is probably not up your alley. There isn't really a whole lot of comedy in it either. It's all taken very seriously, but it's very artistic. It's very well done. It's almost overdone, but they really wanted to do something here, and it just didn't hit publicly, but that doesn't make it less artistic or less worth watching. Won't be everybody's cup of tea. Probably be a while before I step back into it, but as I'm trying to do horror movie reviews in the month of October, well, here's two for you. So Suspiria, 1977, I would say if you're into any kind of Italian horror movies or any kind of horror movies at all, watch the original. Then, if you like that and you want to see a very interesting artistic homage, somebody doing something different with a story, then watch the 2018 version. Other than that, we've got a lot more horror movies to go. I think I can get through the month of October with 30 total. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a spectacular day, and thank you so much for listening.